Thank you again, Mr. Chase. It is good to have a forum, an opportunity to share with all Guyanese, from the government to the common citizen, the facts, the circumstances behind my time, surrounding my time at the Guyana Gold Board, and even beyond, This is a good opportunity for us, Mr. Chase, to dive in to this whole issue of gold smuggling that has its roots in other things and that stretches its tentacles in a number of areas in Guyana. I went to the Gold Board in March 2017 and I finished on February 29th, 2020, just a couple of days before the elections when the term ended. It was a revealing experience for me. I see government from the inside. I see how things operated. And it is painful. I must face you, my fellow Guyanese, and tell you that it is painful for the honest work that you put out as a servant of the people to be thrown into your face, to be distorted in this scurrilous manner, to drag me into something that was existing as long as gold existed, as long as the Gold Board was in existence. And I'm not laughing. No, I'm not laughing at all. I'm very angry, but it's not showing. And something that will continue as long as there's gold around. And as long as there are certain kinds of people over it and near to it. I went there in 2017, as I said to you folks. And immediately I ran into what I used to like to call a chainsaw. The Royal Canadian Mint shut down exports from this country, exports of gold. At the time there was no oil, and gold was 61% of the foreign exchange of this country, foreign exchange earnings. So you can imagine what that cessation, that moratorium, would have done to this country. We were able to get, myself and the general manager, with the backing of Minister Trotman, full support, to get that lifted. And the people from the Royal Canadian Mint told others here, outside of my view or hearing, that they trust what I put on the table. They trust what we were doing to include them, to get our metal to the refinery, from mine to market, with all the risk factors, or as many as them, duly observed. My relationship with the Mohammeds. I want the Guyanese people to know this. My relationship with every Gold Board customer, from gold dealer to gold exporter, from medium scale miner to 1 pennyweight declarer. My relationship with them began and ended within the walls of the Guyana Gold Board. I don't think I need to repeat that. In other words, I had no conversation, no transaction, no interaction, no socialization with anyone from the Guyana Gold Board outside of the premises of the Guyana Gold Board for the 3 years that I was there. You want to talk to me? I've said it to the dealers, exporters. The little guy, the woman bringing in 2 ounces of gold. You have a right to see me and talk to me, but there are 2 conditions, 2 preconditions. It's got to be on the Gold Board floor, and it's got to be somebody else there. I will not sit in a room and discuss any business with you or anybody without a senior member of the management team there. And that's my setup there. So that's the first part of how I conducted myself as chairman of the Gold Board. I am no big shot nor expert in charge of something. I am there to serve. I was there to serve the people of this country. I'm a servant. I am nothing else. And if this has been trusted into my hands, I have to honor the people who went before me and put so much trust in me that I can talk about gold and getting declarations up, but it must be done the right way. So that's the personal part. Now I want to give you the procedural part, my fellow citizens. And then you will tell me how much, as is said, GHK Lall know about gold smuggling and how GHK Lall helped the Mohammeds in the smuggling of gold. I can understand knowing, yeah, we know that gold smuggling was happening. I was at Sarah, part of the meetings every month for a couple of years, and gold smuggling came up. The government had an exercise called Operation Nimble Mule that was headed by a former, I can't remember at the time, he was still in the army, a brigadier general. I invited him to attend those meetings and say what is going on. High-level meetings, some very, very high people. Head of SOKU, senior official of the GRA, people from the U.S. Embassy.
Right.
Yeah. And others. Procedures for gold export. I want you to hold on, Mr. Chase, and our viewers, our listeners. I want you to hold on to this. 10,000 kilograms of gold exported out of Guyana, but omitted from official declarations. That's straight out of the U.S. indictment. Omitted from the declarations. When you want to export 1 ounce of gold, 1 ounce of gold, or 100,000 ounces, you've got to complete a declaration. You've got to complete documents. It comes to the Guyana Gold Board, and arrangements are made, reviewed, and arrangements are made. Follow this now, folks. For people from the Guyana Revenue Authority Customs Department, 1, CANU, 2, and Police Narcotics, 3. Plus a Guyana Gold Board representative, might be 2. So you've got 4 sets of agencies and 4 sets of people involved in the examining, the weighing, the sealing, and the signing off.
And if you want to go further, you can say a 5th person, the security company, is responsible for picking up the gold and taking it to jail.
Yes, sir. Yes. So there are these sets of eyes there. I've never been to a gold sealing. I've never been to a dealer premises. I have never been then or after, in those 3 years and after, to any gold dealer, gold customer, place of business, residence, or any such thing. Never met them on the road. Because remember, most of them are in the interior.
That was the work of the compliance department.
Yes, good. I have no relationship there. So they do that. So this is happening there. Now, I want you to tell me where this gentleman, who's really a front for the senior people in the PPP who don't have the, you know what, they don't have the guts, and then lower down, they don't have that, to come out and stand up and face GHK Lall and say, you're a gold smuggler. So they get a man. You know, you got to earn your pay, and you got to prove yourself to come out and say, he know. Well, he can go for say how much he know. And GHK Lall help. Now, I want you to remember 3 things. He who accuses must prove. Que accusat probare debet. Second thing, citizens have a right to speak, but they have no right to get it wrong. They have no right to get it wrong, especially when you are putting out the libelous, the malicious, and the scandalous against a citizen. I think the Honorable Anil Nandalal, Attorney General of Guyana, would agree with me there. Would not agree with me on many things, but he may agree with me on that one. He should, as a man of the law, and a man who has respect for the law and respect for the rule of law. I will not speak about cybercrime laws being violated and ravaged. That's his duty. You've got to get it right when you accuse. If you've got the goods on a citizen, it is incumbent upon the government, the authorities, to come out with it and deal with him or her. And that's where I am. That's my relationship. Those are the procedures that are involved in gold sealing, legitimate gold operations. 4 sets of people, Mr. Chase added a 5th one, but those are the ones right around that package of gold. Now, where is Lall in that? How does Lall influence customs officers and narcotics officers and police narcotics officers, Canoe and police? The last time I had a dealing with customs officers was when I came back as a remigrant and brought in a 10-year-old Pathfinder that was part of the duty-free concession due to me. And I remember telling the gentleman who was kind enough to help me, his name is William Cox, Mr. William Cox in the office of the president. I said to him, whatever has to be paid to the government and the people of Guyana, it must be paid. All I'm interested in is speed. I want this guy in and I want it out, and the other stuff there. And if he remembers well, that's about 15 years ago, thereabouts, and I went back afterwards and stayed for a couple of years. But that was the story. That's how I conduct myself. The people who know me know that's how I dealt with at the Gold Board. As I'm in the business of calling names, Mr. Andron Alfonso, man who's no stranger to the ruling party, the government, he and I shared 3 years at the Guyana Gold Board. He knows how the business was conducted there. He knows, and he can tell people that I said to him, as a director on this national agency, you are held to a higher standard. Whether it's fair or not, it's not my. You are held to a higher standard. We've got to set an example. And so it is disgusting, really. Disgusting that the PPP government gets somebody that is live in Guyana, whether it's a Chronicle writer, whether it's an NCN contributor, I don't know and I don't care, and I condemn them all. They have a right to speak, but you get it right. Or this fella here on social media. Let me say this to you. Indictments. My name is being stuffed into this. I have never been a friend of the Mohammeds. I've never met the son, spoken to him, dealt with him. I know the father from 3 years. I know the father from politics. Now here's this. And I remember, it comes back to me, I'm doing all this, that when Mr. Nazar Mohammed raised his hand and stepped forward as a counselor for the PPP government for the Eccles-Ramsburg area, I wrote a letter in the paper saying, I think he'll make a good counselor. You know why? He doesn't need any money. And when he sees people stealing the people's money, he'll have a problem, and he wires right up to the president. So who's going to want to tamper with the people's funds then? Key part of that little presentation was that Mr. Nazar Mohammed, was a PPP, ran as a PPP councillor in a local government election. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Guyanese, friends and admirers in the PPP, and distractors, and whoever else you got there, deniers, degraders, derogators, and libelers, all of those. Let me say this to you. Get used to dealing with a man like me. You may not have those in your ranks, among your circle of friends, but here's this. I have never been close to the PPP or PNC. I've never been to a social function involving the PNC during those 3 years. The President Granger came there for meetings 2 or 3 times. I sat in the audience and I was the first man out. I don't want to shake the President's hands. I come, I listen, I know what I have to do, and I do it. I always used to tell the dealers, all the dealers and exporters, there were not many, I said, you have a right to go over my head. Because I know how I came through that door, and I know how to get out of it. So in other words, what is said here, you don't like it, you don't agree with it, and they said, oh, it's too much regulation. We've gone from no regulation to over-regulation. Well, that's the way it's going to be, because this country is not going to be blacklisted or prevented from exporting gold under my watch. So now you can't find anything there. They had sent 4 witch doctors or witch hunters after the PPP won in 2020. What did they come up with? They second-guessed every decision. Fair enough. It's not right, but you exercise that right. You're going to go back after the fact, not knowing, not caring about the circumstances that surrounded a decision being made. And the decision being made not by one man, but by 7, including a Bank of Guyana representative, including the commissioner of the GGMC, including the head of the Gold Union, GGDMA. Yes, so gold smuggling, by definition, my fellow citizens, is not an official activity. It is not in practice something that is on the table. As a matter of practicality and reality, it's happening in the dark. It's happening in secrecy. It's happening with collusions. And I've never met these people or spoken to these people or dealt with them. And you are trying to fasten me in the middle of that.
If I may ask, why did the Royal Canadian Mint stop taking our gold?
Because of the Rasool fallout. Because, you remember?
I remember
and all this gold, and the gold, it's like, you're sending me tainted gold. We can't absorb, and we don't want to deal with this kind of exposure. As a matter of fact, they had said to me, we don't deal with artisanal mining. We don't deal with these small, right, relations. There must have been some politics at the high level. We need to have a channel for this gold coming here. Oh, by the way, the Royal Canadian Mint was a relationship set up since back in the 90s, I understand.
Right.
So, and by the way, some real good people there. They taught us, they showed us about raise the risk profile, get the mine to market, and that raised a lot of hell in there. The people who I'm being accused of helping to smuggle gold had no use for me, they had no time for me, and if, as I mean, as to carry it a little far, they actually hated me. So now, I have helped these people. You know what is that? That's aiding and abetting.
Right.
That's colluding and conspiring and colluding. That's cooperating in some criminal enterprise. I mean, how low are you folks gonna go? And what's the wanted poster? What's the poster out there? Get Lall by any means foul and fouler, and the fouler the better. And so this is what Guyanese need to know. It makes the president look bad. Mr. President, these people are not working for the PNC or civil society. The people that come out with these kinds of slurs and slanders, they are not known to be affiliates of the PNC, AFC, WIN, or civil society. They are people attached very intimately to the PPP. Mr. Vice President, Dr. Jagdeo, the Honorable Dr. Jagdeo, you surround yourself with people who know what they have to do, know how they have to go out there and take shots at people, ambush them, stab them in the back, and then sit down and say, look, we've got him. We got him good this time. Well, you ain't got nothing, Mr. Vice President. You ain't got nothing. Mr. Attorney General, rule of law and respect for law. And you show me what it is. Don't show me. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than the speaker than the slanderer. This is the Guyana government on trial. The Guyana government being tested. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Attorney General, this is your baby. How are you going to deal with that? You're going to sweep it under the carpet? You're going to pretend that this doesn't exist, this didn't happen? You're going to pretend that this man is my friend and not yours? The accuser? The accuser? Oh, and by the way, the Ghana National Broadcasting Authority, you're only concerned about licensed broadcasters? Does the police, the Ghana Police Force, concern itself only about crimes reported to it? Or about crimes that somehow gets to its attention? What about those? About crimes that are happening in plain sight, but says, well, because of the people involved and the power that they have, we can't go near to that. I can tell you, when I reported, folks, and I want you to put this on Facebook, when I reported the slander of Live in Guyana back in 2021, I think, or 2022, the cybercrime police officer said to me, he said, man, I won't worry about this thing, you know. I said, why not? I said, why not? He said, because I think I'm going no way. That's law, Mr. Nandalal. That's your law. The people at the Ghana Broadcasting Authority, how can you pretend not to see, not to know, not to hear, and not want to do anything about that? I don't care whether they are licensed or not. They are misusing cyberspace, the anonymity of cyberspace, the shadowy nature of cyberspace to attack citizens. What is this? Hitler's Germany? Stalin's Russia? North Korea? You tell me how it is not. All of the names I mentioned. You folks are smarter than me, cleaner than me, brighter than me, and possess a greater light than me. Tell me how that, what is going on in this country, is not about what is reminiscent of Hitler's Germany, Goebbelsian and Stalinistic, the old Russia. What we have here, Mr. Chase, you've got to understand, we've got men who are capitalists at heart, money and communists in the head. Control. This is their indoctrination. This is their religion. This is their mantra. Take the money, grab the money. That's the government.
During your meetings with the high-ranking officers, government officials, on issues of gold smuggling, did the Mohammed's name come up at all?
Different names came up. The gold exporters are a small group. Different names came up. Some names featured more prominently than some.